We chose this topic about AirCare because we wanted to know why the entire program is getting shut down. We also wanted to know the entire history of AirCare, including how long it has been in existence. The last reason why we chose the topic about AirCare is because we wanted to know how the air quality will be when AirCare is discontinued. We interviewed Dave Gorley, General Manager of Maple Ridge AirCare. So, how will the closing of AirCare in the Lower Mainland affect the air quality of the region?
Well, it will mean more emissions going into the air because even though the program is closing, we were still identifying like 35,000 vehicles every year that have emission problems. Now there's about 1.3 million light-duty vehicles that drive around in the Vancouver area. So 35,000 doesn't sound like a lot compared to that, but those vehicles are significantly dirtier. And you know, it's out now, it's going to be up to the people that own those vehicles to get them repaired.
Yeah.
And there's going to be nothing forcing them to do that. So maybe some of them will do it, maybe some of them won't. So it's really hard to say, but we know there'll be more emissions. And in air quality, like today is a beautiful day, the air is nice and clean. It's basically all the emissions go into the sky. They mix, there's sunshine that interacts with it, and sometimes you get air quality episodes like ozone formation, which is something that happens after emissions mix up in the sky. So that could happen more readily now because there's more emissions there. But you know, generally air quality in Vancouver is pretty good. So
yeah.
if there's an effect, it'll be pretty small.
Do you think big trucks should have been checked with AirCare?
Well, I know, I went back to the very beginning of AirCare. I started with AirCare back in 1992. So at that time, that was one of the comments we heard a lot. Why don't you test the big trucks? And that's because people see smoke coming out of those trucks.
Yes.
You see something that's there, you don't see the emissions that come out of a car. So that's a big thing. So the public always have felt that trucks were more of a problem than cars.
Yeah.
And if truth be known, we actually started a program called AirCare on Road back in 1996.
And finally, do you agree with the closing of AirCare?
Well, I think that AirCare, as we know it, as it's been for a long time, I think we are reaching the point where cars are clean enough and stay clean enough that we can't really justify keeping it like it is.
Yeah.
However, we still know that cars are not much different, really, than they were even 100 years ago. And the engines are still running on gasoline, and they make emissions. We just control them very well, and those vehicles still break down. So I think you could keep AirCare in a different form.
Yeah.
However, if you don't have it, I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. If you carried on with it, we'd have our vehicles a little bit cleaner, maybe save a bit of fuel, maybe help the environment a bit. But it's a question of balancing the cost of that with people's time. And AirCare is one of those things that forces real people, individual people, to do something about air pollution. And most people look at air pollution, it's a big smokestack, or it's a big truck, it's something else, right? And then you want that clean. But I don't have to do anything about it myself. If you ask me to do something about it personally, now you're asking too much. That's so. I think it's one of those things that it affects people. A lot of people don't like AirCare. If you talk to the average person, say, do you like AirCare? Do you think it's a good thing? Most people say, I don't think we need it anymore. So, do I agree with it? I personally, I'll tell you, I don't. But I understand it, and I accept it, and I'll find another job.
Definitely.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your time. We surveyed 45 people from Maple Ridge about the AirCare program. These were our results. The first question we asked was, do you think the government will bring a new program to replace the AirCare program? 23 people said yes, and the other 21 people definitely disagreed. Another question was, do you believe the closure of AirCare will affect the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? 13 people agreed, 22 people did not agree, and the other 10 were not quite sure. Our third question was, do you think that AirCare should be required for vehicles that are manufactured before 2003? 18 people said yes, and the other 28 people disagreed. Another large question we had was, are you encouraging the closure of AirCare? 26 people said yes, and 18 people said no. Our last question was, are you in favor of closing the AirCare program? 34 people said that they are in favor of closing it, and the other 10 people are certainly not. We have learned so much through the journey of this inquiry project, including the answer to our main question. Our main question is, why is AirCare coming to an end, and how will it affect the air quality in the Lower Mainland? We definitely found that answer. The AirCare program is closing because cars these days are much cleaner than they were in 1990 when the program first started. The air quality will get worse, but not as much because cars nowadays have the technology to not let a lot of pollution out. Starring Dylan Torrent as on-screen talent, Tomislav Storčić as videographer and researcher, Adrian Baker as videographer and researcher, and Nick Linehass as editor.